Blog Talk Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's high noon. Today is Tuesday. January 14th. We're getting into this thing now. This is XFI Live. We are on the air. My name is Clint Davis. I'm the host of this thing. There's a lot of talk going on about XFI 10. It's coming up February 15th down at the Fort Smith Convention Center in downtown Fort Smith, Arkansas, 55 South 7th Street, downtown. Can't miss it. Right between the Marriott and the Holiday Inn. Gigantic place. Huge. All right. We've got tickets on sale. Go to the XFI.com for details. If you want to shoot me an email, I am Clint at the XFI.com. If you have any questions about tickets or anything like that. You can also hit me up on Twitter. I am at @1 Davis on Twitter, the number 1, and then my name. That's how you can track me down on Twitter. If you're on Facebook, get on Facebook, search for Extreme Fighting Inc. There's no E in the word extreme, all right? It's just XTREME. So search for Extreme Fighting Inc. and like the page. Phone lines are open. All right. Well, I had a couple of people get a hold of me last week and say that they had called in, but we had a couple of guests on. We had Eric Tucker and Rocky McGahee, a couple of fighters that we've got with us, and so I didn't get to take as many calls as I wanted to. A lot of people were on there and then kind of had to drop off. We got a little anthrax opening the show for you there. Good stuff, huh? Hey, I want to let everybody know that one of these people has a birthday tomorrow. We'll talk about XFI Live is sponsored by Spike 22 Academy, Arkansas at 624 Main Street in downtown Van Buren. If you want to get involved with Spike 22, if you want to start MMA training, other types of martial arts, self-defense classes, you want to get your kids involved, contact Matt Wolfman Howell at 918-571-2103, or his lovely wife, Jamie Howell. She's got a birthday coming up tomorrow. You can contact Jamie at 918-235-4676. Boom, boom, boom. We got a couple of birthdays today. I think we've got a special birthday today. Ryan Riley's turning 26. The big birthday we've got is, I got a call from a guy one time who may or may not own a professional wrestling company. When I say may or may not, that means he does. A lot of you guys know about traditional championship wrestling around here. I got a call from Loverboy Matt Riviera, and he called me one day and he said, "Can you go?" This was before a live event that they had out here in Fort Smith, and he said, "Is there any way you can go to the airport tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon and pick up Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And I froze. And I said, hell yes, I can go pick up Hacksaw Jim Duggan from the airport. And it was funny because I wanted him to know where his ride was going to be. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. I just seen him on TV forever. But he knew somebody was going to pick him up from the airport. So I go walking up into the airport. There's a few of them. Disco Inferno from WCW was there. Chris Cruz, one of the ringside announcers. Titan, 7 feet, 2 inches tall, rode in my truck. I barely even fit in the deadgum thing, and then my truck is huge. So anyway, Hacksaw Jim Duggan gets off the airport. He starts walking through the airport down the concourse, and he started looking around. I knew what he was looking for. So immediately I throw my thumb up in the air and do that. Ho! This guy just starts laughing and walks straight over to me. We shook hands. This dude's got hands like frying pans. These things are gigantic. And so we kind of hammed it up there for a few minutes and waited on baggage to come in. So Hacksaw Jim Duggan, turning 60 years old today. What a guy. Always be one of my favorites. You guys remember the phone lines are open, 718-664-9265. All right. I don't know if old Wild Bill's going to be able to call in or not. Oh, Wild Bill. He tried to call. You know, one person we need to hear from is Hillbilly Steve. You know, we heard from Hillbilly Steve a while back, and it's been a long time. Hillbilly Steve weighed about 300 and something pounds and wanted to get into fighting. He wanted to start training. He wanted to start losing weight and getting healthy. And so, you know, we talked to Hillbilly Steve a couple of times. He would come on the show, and he'd call in. He was a faithful listener. And it looks like he still is. We just haven't talked to him. So I'd kind of like to find out how his progress is coming along. Now, this was last summer, or late spring, early summer, when we got to talking to Hillbilly Steve. And I got to talking about Hillbilly Steve a few nights ago on another, well, it was actually, my goodness, it was last night, on a post-Monday Night Raw wrestling show, well, here on blogtalkradio.com. And I said somebody looked like Hillbilly Steve. I think the Miz's dad or somebody like that. And they said, who is Hillbilly Steve? Is that somebody like Mountain Man on Duck Dynasty? And I said, no, it's not a guy like Mountain Man. He's not on Duck Dynasty. But I said, this guy, he's got a farmhouse out in this area, and in his front yard, he bench presses gallon jugs of pond water. That's a true story. That's how this guy weight trains. You know, he doesn't have a whole lot. He works hard for what he's got, but that's called making do. All right? So that's how Hillbilly Steve gets down. We need to hear from Hillbilly Steve at some point. So Hillbilly Steve, if you're listening today, call 718-664-9265. Now, there's a lot of folks that have shot me a message and said, hey, man, that's not the same call-in number. That is true. We were picked up by the fabulous Retro Unlim Network on blogtalkradio.com. There's some fine folks who they sponsor this network. So I want to give a big shout-out to them. And a personal friend of mine, Michael Burhan, he's across the pond in the UK. And it was simple. All he had to do, he shot me an email one day, and he said, when do you want to start your show? I said, all right, let's get this thing going. So we did. So big thanks to Michael Burhan and the rest of you guys out there at the Retro Unlim Network and at Spike 22 Academy, Arkansas, for being a sponsor of XFI Live. We really appreciate it. Now, like I mentioned on the last show, we talked to MMA fighters Rocky McGahee and Eric Tucker. They are scheduled right now. You guys know the card is always subject to change. They are scheduled to be on the fight card for XFI 10 on February 15th. So we got to talk to those guys a little bit. We got a lot of good feedback. A lot of people liked both interviews. They liked how these guys came in and conducted themselves, and I appreciate them stopping by the studio and doing the same thing. They did a great job, so I really appreciate that. Also, we had a buddy of mine, Brandon Ligon, B-Ligs, up in New York State. Me and this guy are constantly wearing New York Yankees hats. I've been a fan for life, always have been, always will be. And Brandon and I, we've done wrestling radio shows together for I couldn't even tell you how long now. But we have a lot of fun doing it. BlogTalkRadio.com is a great platform for this kind of stuff. We get to get our work out there and bring you guys everything you need to know. Also, like I mentioned earlier, tickets for XFI 10. Let me go to our website. I'm fixing to do a little tappy on the keyboard. Let's go to events. I'm clicking on events. I'm on the XFI.com as we speak. We've got a ticker going. 32 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 40, 39, 38, 37 seconds. 35, 34. All right. Okay. 32 days till XFI 10. Now, when you get on the XFI.com, it's going to look like XFIX, but it is, in fact, XFI 10. That is how we will pronounce it. I realize you guys have seen some things I've posted on Facebook that have said XFI and the number 10. We're going to use the Roman numeral 10. I just want everybody to get familiar with what this actually is. That way we're not all calling it XFIX. Okay, here's the deal. We're going to do things a little earlier this time. The gates are going to open. I think we had to open the gates. We ended up having to do it early last time. We had so many people. Craziness. Crazy. Gates are going to open at 5 p.m. The bloodshed begins at 6 p.m. Now, it looks like, by the way the fight card is set up on the website, could be wrong about this, it looks like Rodney Allison and Oscar Valdez 2 is going to be our main event. We did talk a little bit about that. These guys fought last summer at Extreme Infinity, and a lot of people thought Rodney won, and a lot of people thought Oscar won. So we've kind of hammed it up a little bit on Facebook and talked about the, getting a rematch down, and we threw an all-amateur event back in October at Extreme Night of Champions, highly successful. We sold more tickets than we had printed, and we had a ton of people there. We had a lot more people than we expected. So we didn't get to have these guys on the card because we had no pros on the card. We had nothing but our amateur fighters. And it was probably one of the best fight cards we've ever seen in this area. Well, there's a lot of people who said that too. So now, like I said, we've got XFI 10. We're going to have to get a correction on the website. It says 2/14. Weigh-ins are on the 14th. All right, they'll be Friday night on Valentine's Day. Guys, if you want to do your significant other a favor, ladies, if you really want to get some brownie points here, I don't know what you'd need them for because you guys hold all the stroke anyway. So find time to get on the XFI.com. If you need to hit me up, I will have tickets or a way for you to purchase tickets. You can also call 479-222-1XFI. And that translates to 1934. Okay? All online ticket purchases will be available for pickup at the ticket booth the night of the event after 4:30 p.m. Okay? I believe that's when our BACA folks are going to get there. We have a seating chart set up. Now we've got general admission set up 3 ways around the outside. We've got premium seating set up around the outside. We have table seating set up around the outside. We also have cage side table seating. Okay? So your front row there, your very, very front row, all the way around the cage. This spans the entire length of the cage in circumference, even though it's not a circle. But all the way around it is going to be your ringside table seating. Now, these seats are 4 people. Okay? These are the best seats money can buy. 4 people. $300 on that table package there. All right. I'm sorry, on the ringside table package. Now, the table seating outside that, it's going to be on the second row. There's going to be another row of tables behind all these, and they're going to span as far as the cage goes around, too. They'll seat 4 individuals as well, $250. And then, of course, we've got our premium seating. Right now, tickets for premium seating are $35. Now, that's going to turn into $40 the night of the event. So if you want to save $5, I'm down for saving $5. So if that's something you want to do, XFI.com, thexfi.com, go to the website. I believe it's the xfi.com/store/tickets. And then, of course, we've got our general admission seating for $25 right now. And general admission seating will go to $30 the night of the event. So there's your rundown on tickets. I told you guys when these things went on sale and I knew about it, I would get you the information on that. And the good thing about this is if you forget, you can hit the playback on this episode as many times as you want. Okay. And you can listen to this information. That way we are on the same page. Now, what do I need to do here? Oh, I need to do our shout-outs. Hey, we've got a contest going here. We've got a way that you can earn free tickets. Free tickets to XFI 10. Now, if you're on Facebook and you're not friends with me, we need to get that way, okay? So you can be part of this. So hit me up. If you're already on there, you've seen my posts for a couple of days. The way to do this is, you guys know I've got a shout-out status before our shows, the morning of. And what I do is I tell you guys to click the like button. And if you click the like button, you'll get your shout-out on the show. I'm fixing to give 35 people some shout-outs. These 35 people are the first 35 people entered into the contest. Okay? We're going to do this for, well, until the show starts. What? We're going to do this until February 15th. The show on February 14th, Friday, is when the winner will be announced. And all will be well with the world. So make sure you jump on Facebook. Check the shout-out status. Now, here we go. A lot of these people are going to be some folks I grew up with, some people I was in the military with, some people I have taught in classes. There's quite a few of those. Some of the other ladies. The ladies. Here we go. We've got Jennifer Harley. Donald Jean Lowe. Big shout-out. These are our shout-outs and the people who are in the contest to win tickets. Kristen O., Sherry Davis, Angela Sparks, Ashley Langley, Stacy Day, Jackie Northrup, Shanda Lane, Dwight Fowlin, another one of our fighters, Laura Osborne, Stephanie Harkins, Brian Davis, Callie Landers up in Northwest Arkansas. Callie is just beginning her journey in the fight circuit. So maybe one of these days we might be able to get Callie down here in Fort Smith. John J. Bishop, one of my favorite people I've ever had in class. We used to do the whole Tonto jump on it dance out at Lost Beach on Friday nights in front of everybody. Scotty Coffrin, big shout out to Scotty up in Pennsylvania. Bobby Norman, Dan Yacklin. Me and Dan did some time together in the United States Army. I was in the Oklahoma Army National Guard some years after I got out of the Navy. And Dan had also been in the Navy and went to, I don't know if he was a reservist or National Guard. Hell, he might have gone, no, he didn't go active duty. He doesn't look like he went active duty. But me and Dan, we stormed the base up in Santa Fe. They've got a big place up there outside the federal penitentiary that you probably always see on TV. And we sat around imitating the drill sergeants up there and telling Chuck Norris facts all day. Nikki Abeda, she's one of our volunteers that comes out, and she's helped with us a million times. Mr. Justin Shipman, one of my personal favorite people. He's got a great thing going on these days. I think he's about due for some home time. He's in the U.S. Air Force. He's been overseas for a while. Mr. Jeff Schaffner, big shout out to Jeff. Also, Lisa Warren, Tommy McGuire, Stephanie Hedinger, One Eye. You guys probably remember One Eye. Gary Harkins, Elizabeth Martin, John Michael O'Mara, Mr. Scott Lowe out of Battleground MMA. You know, they've got a couple of folks coming down for this. Alex Sterling, Morgan Tyler. One of my best friends in the world, two-time ring announcer of the year, and 2013 United States Martial Arts Hall of Fame inductee, Mr. Greg Squirrel. Well, I believe we talked to Greg Squirrel last week as well. Kendra Nicole is in this, Brittany McConnell, Robbie Green, and Caitlin McHenry. There's our shout-outs. We got a ton of people getting in this contest. And this is just the first time we've done this. This is day one. So make sure you get in and get involved. Where are we at on this thing? How long have we been on? 22 minutes? I haven't even talked about anything yet. I've been telling stories over here. That's what we do, though. I used to do that when I was teaching classes. It would keep people's attention for hours. And once they get interested, then they'll listen to what's in the book, once you got to start training. So I appreciate you guys being on. We've got quite a few of you logged in right now. And, I put the link up on Facebook. So you guys are able just to hit the play button, and it should pop up. I've had a lot of people say it's not loading on their phone. It loads on mine. There's a lot of other people who it loads on their phone as well. So I don't know what to tell you. But we'll get you a way to listen to this one of these days. So hopefully we'll make that happen. Once again, phone lines are open. 718-664-9265 right here on the Retro Unlim Network on blogtalkradio.com. I'm going to see just how many of you are logged in here. We're fixing to talk about the fight card. We are going to talk about the fight card. There had been a change to the fight card, and that very change changed again. So remember, I've told you guys, and you guys know this, you've been around this business a long time, the card is always subject to change. I laugh when I see people jumping on Facebook and saying, hey, what happened to so-and-so's fight? Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They weren't on a card. It could be personal injury. It could be personal issues, family problems. We don't talk about stuff like that. We're not going to. A lot of you guys know we had an issue at the last fight, and someone asked today, if we were going to see them again, and I said right now they're not scheduled. We don't get into a whole lot of details, and I think we talked about that a few days ago as well. So here's what we've got so far. I'm going to roll down. Where are we at? Events, XFI 10, fight card. Mr. Aaron Cobb has once again done a stand-up job putting a fight card together. The first fight I'm looking at down here is Owen Howell and Jaden Hallam. These two are supposed to square off. They are set up right now to be in the cage with us, with XFI, on February 15th for XFI 10. Now, this is the fight card for XFI 10 coming up as it stands. Will Wagner. Wagner is set up to face David Adams. We also talked about Rocky McGahee a couple of days ago, and he is set up to face Carl Pulliam out of Redline. Luke Gates with Showdown. We got two guys here with Showdown coming up in a row. Luke Gates and Stony Burt. Okay. Luke Gates and Stony Burt going after it. Tyler Jones, also out of Showdown, is set to face Eric Barksdale. Now, the one fight that we had a change on is actually, let me go ahead and throw this in there. Frank Daniel Holson is set up to be on our fight card again, and he is set to face Terry Crow. They're fighting at 135. So Frank Daniel Holson and Terry Crow. Now, the one that changed was Jared Biscetti and Jason James. For whatever reason, no explanation was given. And then I got a message back from Aaron Cobb, and he said the Biscetti James fight is back on. I also got a message that says to add Jeremy Green and Kerry Bowers. So Jeremy Green, Kerry Bowers, we've got those two on the fight card as well. Now, Frank Jones out of R1. We saw Frank Jones last summer against Joe Valadez from Without Limits. We've got these guys set up to be on here too. So Frank and Joe, looking forward to seeing these guys get in the cage. Where am I at? That's not a proper question, but I just asked it. The next fight we've got here, we talked about we talked to him on the show that we did Friday. Eric Tucker and Austin Anderson are set to square off. That is Eric Tucker and Austin Anderson out of Battleground. So get with the Battleground program. They're doing a lot of good things up in Tahlequah. Next, we've got Matt English out of Redline, set to face Adam Bolin. So Adam Bolin, Matt English out of Redline. Matt Goss out of Spike 22 against Danny Lee. We were supposed to see Matt Goss back in October, and that did not happen due to nothing that Matt Goss did. Okay? We just had a gigantic snafu that I personally have never seen. And so Matt Goss, we've got him back on the card against Danny Lee from Showdown. Also, who is going to be on the card, we've got Bradley Warwick from Spike 22. You guys saw Brad Warwick and Matt Dawson go at it in October. And, man, this was a knockdown, drag-out until the very, very end, until the last round. And we ended up seeing Matt Dawson put like this rolling leg bar on Brad Warwick, and it was over. You know, he tapped, so it was a win by submission. But you know, the first 4.5 rounds were phenomenal. I mean, everybody was into it, screaming, and it was craziness. So we've got Brad Warwick out of Spike 22 set up to face Anthony Ward. We've got Brandon Bledsoe down in the pit, down in Poto. You guys know all about Oklahoma Combat Sports. Brandon Bledsoe is our lightweight champion. Now, there's a little extra to that. You know, we didn't get to see Brandon Bledsoe in October because he had an injury maybe it's a hand or wrist somewhere in there. I saw a cast type ordeal. Brandon actually sat right behind me, VIP all night, and his lovely wife Mariko, she was made her debut as one of our ring card girls, did a great job, and in fact, I think if you're on the website listening to the show, you can see her in one of the pics that scroll by. They were putting a belt on Sammy Rogers. Now, Sammy Rogers is set to face Brandon Bledsoe. Sammy Rogers stepped in and fought for an interim lightweight title. So Brandon Bledsoe is our lightweight champion. Sammy Rogers is our interim lightweight champion. Now, there was a lot of controversy over what interim means, and a lot of people don't understand this. When it all comes down to it, there's a lot of business involved in this, okay? You know, if you've got not saying people who don't hold titles aren't good. That's not even close to what I'm saying. But we had an event called Night of Champions, and we had injured champions. We had to find these number one contenders, potential number one contenders. We had to put them in a position to succeed. We had to give them an opportunity to step up. You know, a lot of people say that if, and I'm going to go back to wrestling here, not wrestling, but sports entertainment. If Stone Cold Steve Austin hadn't gotten injured like he did, The Rock may not have ever gotten his big push like he got. Back in the day, back in the Attitude Era. You know, because if you've got your champions in there full time and they're smoking it and taking names, there's not going to be a lot of other people who get an opportunity. So we had to take guys like Sammy Rogers, who have finished his last 2 fights in a combined less than 47 seconds. I mean, it's like Sammy doesn't even want to fight. He just wants to get in there and get it over with and go home. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Sammy is a firm believer in not letting the fight go to the judge's hands. So Sammy Rogers came in and won in a matter of 20-something seconds. He won a fight before that in 15 seconds, I believe. It was somewhere in there, 17 seconds. So Brandon Bledsoe and Sammy Rogers are unifying this lightweight championship. We've got a lightweight champion. We have an interim lightweight champion. They're going to get in there and take care of business. If you guys want to talk about that, phone lines are open, 718-664-9265. This is XFI Live on blogtalkradio.com on the Retro Unlim Network. My name is Clint Davis. And we are sponsored by Spike 22 Academy, Arkansas, at 624 Main Street in downtown Van Buren. Give Matt or Jamie Howell a phone call out there, 918-571-2103 or 918-235-4676. Gave a special birthday shout-out a little bit ago to Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I need to get some sound bites with Hacksaw. He's got some good stuff. He came down here for a big event that we had. And if you know anything about Hacksaw, I told all my friends, I said, hey, go to Lowe's, get you a gigantic 2x4, get it cut into sections. And if you have children, have this man give autographs on this 2x4. That is what he is known for. And there were some people who did that. In fact, I went to a buddy of mine's house the other day. He's got a son who is really good friends with my son. They've gone to school together forever. And while we were playing on the Xbox, I looked over and saw the signed 2x4s. That's what made me think of that. So that's good stuff. Where we leave off, Brandon Bledsoe and Sammy Rogers unifying that lightweight title. Next, we got a gentleman stepping into the cage that we haven't seen in a well. We've seen him. We just haven't seen him in the cage. In fact, he has stood faithfully right outside the cage and done a very tedious job that not a lot of people would understand It may look easy, but you got to know when and where and how. Most definitely. You know, the cage door being closed and guarded is something that's very, very important to MMA. It's not just, hey, you guys shut the door, we'll do this, and then we'll get out of here. That's not how it goes. That is Mr. Brandon Harp. We're going to see Brandon Harp back in the cage around here. Brandon's been out for a while. He had a shoulder. Man, if it wasn't a reconstruction, it was damn near close. So we haven't seen him in the cage in a while. And so now we're going to see Brandon Harp get back in and do his thing. Bump, bump, bump. I just lost my place. I squirreled down a little bit and could not find Sean Bales. Brandon Harp is going up against Sean Bales. I watched a pay-per-view up in Missouri one night. Sean Bales was on that pay-per-view. I got the pay-per-view only. It was on GFL. And I got the pay-per-view only to see Megan Goodwin. Now, there's a lot of controversy with that fight as well. That was probably one of the worst. Now, don't get me wrong. She beat the brakes off their champion up there. But this was probably one of the worst fights, officiating-wise and commission-wise, that I've ever seen. You guys know Missouri doesn't have a commission. They have a sanctioning body, whatever the hell that means. So basically, you're allowed to bribe people. They had this promoter up there, a real D-weed. We got into it on the Greg Squirrel show because he admitted to basically committing a crime as far as MMA goes. He handpicked Megan Goodwin because she was 2-1 on paper, or 2-0 on paper, or 3-0 on paper. A very simplistic record, you know, not a lot of experience. But she's done a lot of other things. So he handpicks her to come up and fight this lady who had been their champion for a while and then decided, I don't want to do it anymore. And then she got back in training and was like, all right, I want to be the champion again. So basically they took their hometown champion. Now, the bad part of this was that the promoter of this organization and the referee were both on the same fight team as this female fighter up here. This was home cooking to begin with. And I looked at this fight. I was sitting here watching this fight. I was hollering at my computer screen. My daughter came in. She's like, what are you doing? I said, man, this is crazy. So she jumped up on my lap. We're watching this fight. And they are taking points off of Megan for supposed low kicks. Now, ladies, let's be honest, okay? Low kicks on us, a little bit different story. I'm sure that something hurts somewhere. I don't know exactly what that is, but these weren't that low, unless you get kicked in the womb or something. I mean, they just weren't that low. And I'm watching this. I'm a foot away from my computer screen, and they're taking points off Megan left and right. Well, this champion up here, this female fighter, she puts her finger, and it was very blatant. It was impossible to miss. She sticks her finger and shoves it into Megan's eye. Megan went down on a knee, couldn't see, was shaking like somebody just shot her, because that's what that feels like. I don't know if you've ever heard somebody put a finger in your eye, but I've got two brothers I grew up with, and that's happened to me a couple of times, whether it's accidental or not. This was very obvious. Megan gets a finger in the eye, and the referee, instead of counting points off or giving a warning, goes over and tries to kick her, disqualify her because of her coach or someone who's in her. Nothing but home cooking. All they wanted was for their hometown lady to win, and that did not happen. I think this fight went to the ground maybe one time, And like I said, Megan beat the brakes off of her. I can't even remember this. Courtney Stowe, I think. The Kraken. Whatever kind of nickname that is. I don't know, like she's a transformer or something. So that's why I watched that pay-per-view. That's where I saw Sean Bales. Sean Bales was fighting super heavyweight. And Sean and I started talking. We got him. We're getting him down here, so we'll be able to see him. He had an injury last time. I think he had a broken jaw. He had to get his jaw wired shut. We've seen a few people have to do that. So Brandon Harp, it's always going to be good to see him back in the cage, and Sean Bales, it's going to be good to finally get him down here. Now, probably, I don't want to say the biggest amateur fight we've got. I'm going to tell y'all a little story again about this fight that we're fixing to look at. We had a guy come down from Oklahoma City. He's been a world NAGA champ several times. He was ranked number 1 in the world. I think maybe he still is. He came down for a fight with our current heavyweight champion, and that is Mr. Chris Brookfield from the Pit. Now, David Grayson came in overweight. The guys at the Pit said, yeah, let's go ahead and do the fight. But, if it wasn't within weight standards, they took the title off the line. So, and understandably so. If that wasn't right, you wouldn't be able to do it. So David Grayson came in a little bit overweight, and they let he and Chris Brookfield fight anyway. David Grayson ended up beating our heavyweight champion that night. And the reason why I say it like that is because this is a another very anticipated rematch. There's been a lot of talk about this fight. Not just with the fighters, not just with the teammates, but with the fans. So we've got Chris Brookfield, we've got David Grayson coming back down, and they will square off once again. Well, I shouldn't say once again because it didn't happen the first time. They'll square off again, but this time it is for the heavyweight championship, the heavyweight title. 2 will enter, 1 will leave. Well, they'll both leave, but 1 will have gold around their waist. And so this is going to be very, very interesting. There's fights you can pick out on a fight card and say that's one that you definitely don't want to have to go run to the bathroom during, or get up and go get a drink, or something the kids get sick or whatever. And this is definitely one of those. We got people making their return. You don't want to miss fights like that. You don't want to miss championship fights. This whole Brandon Bledsoe, Sammy Rogers unifying this lightweight title. You definitely don't want to miss this. So there's 2 guys from the Pit, from Oklahoma Combat Sports, that have these fights going on. They're 2 no-miss fights. There just shouldn't be an option here. We're going to talk a little bit about our pros on the card. We have another much anticipated rematch, and we'll talk about this here in just a second. I asked one of these guys if he wanted to be on the show, and he doesn't, and that's okay because he is completely focused on his training. He's not doing anything but training. He's not he's not going to do the show. There probably won't be too many words spoken at weigh-ins, or probably the night of the fight. It's just going to be, he just wants to get in the cage and he wants to get this done. We'll talk about him here in a second. We've got Joe Pinalto from the Inferno fighting Frank Patterson out of Cobra. These are our professional fights. Speaking of professionals, you guys saw me put on Facebook last night. I did a couple of in the cage interviews with Kathina Killswitch Catron out of Tahlequah, out of Battleground, and a former UFC fighter, Brian Foster. Brian went up to VFC 40 in Nebraska and won a championship up there, and so he is on that comeback trail. Like I mentioned, Brian had some medical issues at one point, and he literally started back at the bottom. I mean, it wasn't his fault, but he had to start back at the bottom, and he's scratching and clawing his way back there. There won't have to be too much scratching because he's good at what he does. So we had Brian Foster in the cage. So the first pros we've got on here, Joe Penalto, Frank Patterson, they will be getting after it. LaMarcus Tucker from Without Limits and Johnny W. Blackburn. We've got Johnny on Facebook here. I've had some conversations with Johnny. Seems like a good guy. And so we're going to get him back on the card. So we're going to see LaMarcus Tucker and Johnny Blackburn get after it. Now, another guy that we haven't seen in a while, and let me rephrase that. We have seen him too, just not in the cage. Stash the Flash Kirkendall. We want to see Stash in the cage again. So Aaron set him up against Matt Sellers, also from Without Limits. So we're going to see Stash and Matt Sellers. Now, we've got a deal going on here. We've got a petition floating around Facebook. Garrett Cox, you guys saw me. I interviewed him in the cage as well. Garrett Cox has agreed that if we can get a certain amount of names on the petition, he'll name his son after Stash the Flash. So I think he was kidding one day when he said, you get a petition with enough signatures on it, and 5 minutes later I had a petition on Facebook. And people started signing. So we're going to see Stash the Flash Kirkendall against Matt Sellers from Without Limits. And the big one here that we've got, the one that I just talked about a couple of minutes ago, the one that everybody wants to see, the one that's going to put some butts in the seats. Not the only one, but this is going to do quite a bit for us here. Rodney Allison from Redneck Fight Club in a rematch against Oscar Valdez from Without Limits. Now, Rodney Allison won the first time. I'm sure that no matter who won this thing, there was going to be a dispute about it. Like I said, there's a lot of people who feel Oscar Valdez won this fight. There's also a lot of people who feel Rodney Allison won this fight. So, that's why we're getting these guys back in the cage. That's why it's important that we see this again. And it may go another way next time. It may. There's not a lot of folks counting on one way or the other. But if it does go the other way, then we might have to see a rubber match at some point. The war to settle the score, I think, is how Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper put it back in WCW. The war to settle the score. And this could be it too. You never know. If Rodney comes out with a second win, it may be over. We might not see these guys in the cage at the same time again. So that is that for the fight card. Now I'm gonna get back on here and give you fine listeners out there some more information. Well, not more information, the same amount of information. In case you missed it before, if you're listening to this show anytime after 2 p.m., you're listening to the playback. Okay. Phone lines are still open. 718-664-9265. I think we've had more listeners who have said, I'm so afraid to call in. I just don't know if I can call in. If you guys want to talk about some of these fights, if you want to talk about some of the things going on, I apologize for not having enough time to get a few of you on last show. But give us a phone call, 718-664-9265. Well, we got about 10 minutes left. We're going to roll it down here with about 10 minutes left. We're going to go over tickets again. How can you get tickets? Number one, you can go to the xfi.com/store/tickets, or you can call 479-222-1XFI. Okay, on the website we've got these seating charts set up. You guys remember me going through that just a minute ago. Ticket prices here: ringside, cage side, tables, $300. Behind that, table seating, $250. Those seat 4 apiece. 4 people. Premium seating. You guys always know about our premium seating. These soft, padded chairs. $35. Right now. They're going to be $40 at the door. So make sure you save a little bit of dough and do it. Get them now. Also, we've got our bleacher seating. We've got our general admission bleacher seating. And you guys know those bleachers are huge. We've got those set up in 3 different areas around what's going on. So we're going to make that happen as well. And that will be $25 in advance and $30 at the door. So make sure you take advantage of that. I want to give a big special thanks to everybody who entered our contest to win tickets to XFI 10 on February 15th. There were 35 names that I mentioned. And so make sure, if you guys are on Facebook, get on there on the mornings that we do this show. We do this show at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, Tuesdays and Fridays. In the morning, I will have a shout-out status up. All you have to do is click like, and you are in to win tickets, possibly. Your name could be drawn. Disclaimer, I am not guaranteeing anyone a win just for clicking like. I'm clicking the ability to possibly win for clicking the like button. So big thanks there. And once again, happy special birthday to Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Like I said, if you've got any questions about anything, shoot me an email. I'm Clint@thexfi.com. And you can also find me at @1ClintDavis on Twitter. Anytime you want to do that, and Facebook, you can get at me on Facebook, and we'll do what we got to do and make things happen. You guys don't miss XFI 10. 55 South 7th Street down at the Fort Smith Convention Center. This is going to be huge. We're going to have anywhere from 12 to 1,500 people at this thing. And you'll be one of those. Like I said, we've outgrown every building we've ever been in. And it's happened more than 3 times. Okay? We outgrew the Expo Center. We outgrew the Phoenix Expo. We outgrew the Event Center. And now we are getting bigger at the Fort Smith Convention Center. So you guys come on out and get on in. And remember, we are sponsored by Spike 22 Academy, Arkansas at 624 Main Street in downtown Van Buren. And we are on blogtalkradio.com with the Retro Unlim Network. You guys don't forget about that as well. I think Pac-Man is going to tell us that it's game over, and we're going to have to go for the day. So we'll hit the music and join us on Friday at high noon Central Standard Time, 12 p.m. Don't miss it. I'm going to work on getting some guys on the show, some of these fighters that we've got, and we'll do what we got to do. We'll make things happen. So until next time, don't drink and drive. Don't do anything crazy. Don't get in any trouble. Get some tickets. Get some tickets, and we'll see you on the next show.